My friends, we cannot find therapy in 2024 for three reasons. And like the reason why I'm making this video is because my own personal experience. Literally 3 weeks ago, as most of you know who follow me on social media, Katie and I moved to Dallas, Texas. And when we got to Texas, I realized that my health insurance expired. Like I don't have health insurance. And since my health insurance expired, I then lost my therapist that I was seeing in Boston. So I'm like, oh my gosh, like what do I even do? So I sat down at this desk and I went to go find a new health insurance policy. And it dawned on me, well, now that I have a new health insurance policy here in Texas, now I should probably go see if I can find a therapist. And I'm going through the whole search all over again. And I've been in and out of therapy for 14 years of my life. I'm 26 now. I've been doing it since I was 12. And I'm not gonna lie, from the age of 12 to 26, that process has been very stressful. And I wanna make this video to speak to that because I think the process of therapy or even the topic of seeing someone for a mental health challenge prevents us from even getting help. And my only hope with this video is to inspire someone watching it, inspire you to know that you can find therapy. So let's go over the reasons. One, the first reason why people don't and probably won't find therapy in 2024 is they fear the judgment of what it means to go reach out for help from a complete stranger. And they're probably not only fearing what the stranger or the therapist would think about them telling the person their challenges. That may be valid, but they're probably also nervous about what their friends, family, loved ones, spouses will think about them. And I'm not gonna lie, I have been there myself, right? I have been the grandson, I have been the cousin, I have been the brother that felt like, oh my gosh, if they know I'm in therapy, what are they gonna think about me? Like, if they know I'm in therapy, they're gonna think X, Y, and Z. They might call me crazy. They might think I'm overly sensitive. They might think I'm being over dramatic. Like, I've had all those thoughts. But in reality, when I really think about it, my friends, people will only doubt you in things they know they can't do themselves. Like, I don't know how else to tell you. Like, people put limitations on others. Like, they project their own limitations onto other people. And I've been guilty of this too. Like, I myself have quite literally placed my own limitations that I have in my own life. And I'll be honest, I'll be transparent. I've projected them onto Katie. Like, I'll never forget, one time we were going to Las Vegas for a vacation, a couple's vacation. And Katie, for those who don't know her, Katie, my fiance. She's a very much of a fitness fanatic, and she loves to work out. And she has a very strict, regimented workout schedule. She wakes up at like 4 in the morning. She goes to the gym at like 4:30, 5 a.m. for like an hour and a half. Comes back, has like a breakfast routine, all of that. So we're going on to Las Vegas for vacation, and she tells me, she's like, Wes, I'm gonna keep my workout schedule while we're in Las Vegas. And I'm like, no, you're not. No, you're not. You're not gonna wake up at 4 or 5 a.m. in Las Vegas. There's a time difference. We're gonna be going out at night. We could be enjoying a few cocktails. So like we're gonna possibly be like, a little bit too tired to wake up the next morning. You're not gonna keep your schedule. Those are my limitations. And I imagine, because what happened in the story, Katie ended up still working out. I didn't. So all that was proven was she stayed consistent to what she wanted. And I stayed consistent on what my limitations of my life at the time were. And there are so many of us who have friends, family members, partners who might project their limitations on to us. And it sucks. Like there's no other way than saying that it actually sucks. Now, setting that aside, the fear of judgment from people, the fear of judgment from loved ones, the second reason why we won't find a therapist is actually twofold. We don't know where to look for a therapist, or we're looking for therapists in the wrong places. So, where the aspect of we don't know where to look for therapists, I think I can get this a little bit because for me in my life, I'm grateful that my mom is actually a mental health therapist herself. So she had directed me to psychologytoday.com, which is like this free directory that you can surf and find therapists and all that good stuff. But there are some people who don't, there are many people actually who have no idea what Psychology Today actually is. So that creates this learning curve of where do I even find a therapist? How do I even know I even need therapists or need a therapist? Like, what do I even say the first session? Like, do they take my health insurance? Do I pay out of pocket? Like, do they offer any discounts? Like, there's so much things that you need to know before even going forth to get help. And that learning curve, it creates a boundary. It creates this hurdle, this block of getting help. And sometimes we don't even know what we don't even know. And that's why in another video, I want to make like a video that talks about like 5 or 7 things that you need to know before seeing a therapist, because you probably have no idea what even a therapy modality is, like a therapist modality. And you probably don't even know what a copay is. There probably is people who don't even know what a copay is. I was one of those people. I didn't know that there was a difference between cognitive behavioral therapy versus art therapy versus this thing called EMDR for trauma focused, or there was this thing called a sliding scale if you couldn't afford to pay for therapy in its full price. Like, there was all these different things I had no idea about. So I want to make a whole video about that. But for those who even want therapists, are trying to find a therapist, there's also the problem of we won't find a therapist because we're looking for the therapist we want in the wrong places. Imagine you go to an airport, like an airport, and you expect a train to come. You're gonna be sitting there all day. And I'm not talking about like one of them trains that bring you from like, terminal A to terminal C. Those trains exist. And maybe that's not a good example, but it's almost like going to a gas station and expecting Cheesecake Factory. That's a better example. Going to a gas station and expecting Cheesecake Factory. And so many of us, me, I've done this so many times, friends. Like, I have been the guy who has gone to a therapist expecting to get this, but in reality, I'm getting this, but I'm not satisfied because I really wanted this, but the therapist is only supplying me with this. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not gonna use figurative language. I've gone to a therapist expecting to do trauma work, and I didn't know it at the time, but the modality that I was looking for was EMDR. I think it's like stands for eye motion, eye something with your eyes. That's all I know. It's a specific form of therapy. I was looking for EMDR, and I had the expectation for having a therapist who specialized in that modality or type of therapy. But what I got was CBT, or cognitive behavioral therapy. And it was as if I'm going to a gas station expecting Cheesecake Factory. That don't it doesn't measure up, and I was unsatisfied. So then I'm looking for therapy in the wrong place. Or another way you can interpret that of why we won't find a therapist in 2024 is maybe we're looking for therapists in a very narrow place. Like, maybe your PCP or your doctor gave you a list of therapists to go down. And based on that list of 20 names, none of them either meshed well with you, you wanted a male, but they only got females on there, or vice versa, or you want someone who's black and they only got white folks on that list. Feel seen at all by this list? Or maybe you know what kind of health insurance you have, so you call your health insurance up and you're like, yo, can I get a list of therapists who accept my health insurance? And they send you this list, but they're too far from your house. So you feel like, well, crap. Now I don't even know where to look because I tried going to my doctor. They gave me this narrow list. I tried going to my health insurance, but they gave me a list of people that just doesn't sit well with me. They're either way too cold or old, I mean. They're just out of touch. They don't look like me. I don't feel safe talking to them. Like I've been there. I have been there. Or the third reason why we won't find therapy in 2024. And I want you to listen closely to this. We overgeneralize therapy. We might have had one, maybe two, maybe even three bad experiences with therapy. And thus, because of those bad experiences, we then write off all of therapy in general. I remember one time I was a sophomore in college and I had seen this therapist called Sarah. And Sarah, like she was young and she was relatively like in her probably mid 30s, and I consider that young. But Sarah, like she was always trying to tell me how to think and how to feel, and she was speaking over me, and I just didn't feel like I could really trust Sarah. I kind of felt pushed by Sarah, so I stopped going to Sarah. I quit, and I didn't go back to therapy for like another what, another two years. And when I got to see the therapist I actually liked, like it was cool. But those 2 years, it took some time. I felt like I couldn't trust that person. I felt like that person just like stained and ruined the practice of therapy for me. But I need you to know that that idea of overgeneralizing it, it's a cognitive distortion. It's your brain playing a trick on you. It's almost like going to one restaurant within a restaurant chain. And because you probably had a bad experience at that specific location, you're now saying all of the restaurants within the whole company are bad. But that's not true. That's not true. And I know that example is also like a very simplistic, overly simplistic way because I want to validate there are real people out there who have real traumatic experiences with therapists. I know someone, I won't mention their name, but I know someone who had a therapist who put faith in a therapist to help them navigate through their own trauma, their own challenges. And this was a therapist who they were seeing virtually like this. And the therapist quite literally was on their phone the entire time. And everyone on planet Earth wants to feel heard. But that therapist didn't make my friend feel heard in that moment. And that was very disheartening. It was very much disencouraging. So she didn't go back to therapy for a long time. I don't think she's still been back since then. So I get that. It sucks. It sucks to have a bad therapist. But just because you have one bad therapist, it doesn't mean that all therapists are bad. You just haven't found the one that is right for you. So what do we do? How do we find the one that is right for us? What do we do to finally find therapy, not just in 2024, but beyond? Because like we are past the halfway point of the year. So the next six less than 6 months of this year, how are we going to go get a therapist? Well, the first thing is let's change our mindset. Let's change the mindset that we have about letting people who doubt our own life choices become the masters of our life. Like let's change that because we have to understand that people who doubt us doubt themselves. And that is none of our business. Like people's own limitations over their life don't have to be the plans for ours. Like their limitations don't have to be our destiny. And I'll say that again, because that's on fire. Their limitations don't have to be your destiny. They don't. And the more we understand and truly like sit with it, that people's doubts don't have to become our destiny, that will set you free. And I also want to acknowledge too, like, I know that sounds a lot easier said than actually done in practice because there could be a parent who's just so invalidating of your feelings. They can say all these things like you're making it all up in your mind, or honestly, you need to go pray about it, or just sleep it off, or just calm down and just breathe. Listen to this video. That your mom, your dad, your guardian, whoever's telling you that, that's how they think of their own problems. And that's their business. And just because they don't believe in your mental health challenges doesn't mean that there's someone else that does, because there is. Now, the second thing we need to do to really work on trying to find a therapist in 2024 and beyond. And I'm not afraid of shameless plug, y'all. I'm a shameless plug for a second. Download this thing called Therapy Together. Therapy Together is this cool tool that I made myself based on my own challenges of trying to find a therapist for the last 14 years. And I just saw it to be so stressful. But Therapy Together is a cool, like, done for you, done with you guide of finding a therapist. It helps you understand what you want in a dream therapist, understand what your health insurance is, understand like where you live and how you can find therapists in your local zip code, understand how to communicate effectively to get like an appointment scheduled. Understand. It helps you learn how to effectively and confidently find a therapist. So download Therapy Together. It's a free template. I'll link it below in the description down below. But the third thing that is so important, I want to wrap this video up because I don't want to go beyond 20 minutes. The third thing that's so important is, give yourself a chance. Like I know that you've probably dealt with so much. So many people in your life saying your challenges aren't real. So many people in your life saying like you're just making it up, or you're overreacting, or they just have invalidated your experiences so much. And I'm sorry. I'm also sorry for the therapists who have left a mark on you, a negative mark on you, whether they have said something very dismissive to you, have invalidated your experiences, spoke over you, made you feel like you didn't have a right opinion. I'm sorry. But at the same time, I know that therapy can really help you. And I know that you know that deep down too. So give yourself a chance, because there's someone in this world that needs you here, that needs you mentally healthy. And even more, there's someone in your immediate circle who wants to help. So thank you for watching this video. I really hope it helps. If it has helped, my only ask for you is not to subscribe, not to comment below, but to simply share this video with a friend. Because I believe the more we talk about mental health, the more we talk about finding a therapist, the more we can help other people become mentally well, and to help them turn their panic or their sense of panic to purpose. So that is all I ask. So I hope you have a good rest of your day. Best of luck in your therapy journey, and let me know how I could be of help. Till then, I will see you in the next video.